Welcome guys, welcome to this new video. We are having so many issues, so many problems with GST entries, GST reconciliations, GSTR2 versus GSTR2A reconciliations. It creates so many problems for us. I guess you must be facing such problems. If you are having any such problems, stay tuned for this video. Before we start further, we want to mention that the entries mentioned in this video are for information purpose only. Entries may be different as per different persons, different perspectives, different individuals. In this video, we have tried to compile GST entries from our perspective so that your errors and reporting time can be reduced. You can comment your views also, what entries you are doing or what problems you are facing in the comment section below, so we can know what are the other perspectives and how different persons are doing those entries. So don't forget to comment that, and yeah, don't forget to share and subscribe this video if you like this. So let's get started. So first one will be GST components. So in this video we'll be showing you how to use the purchase entries, how to complete the expense entries, on which services or goods are received with GST and without GST as well. Third one will be capital goods, when capital goods are purchased. So how you can do entry with GST on the capital goods. Third one will be sales, or you can say goods or services sold. So let's start with some basic GST entries. How you can do that? So first will be our purchase entries. So purchase entries, in that you can debit the purchase account. So here you can debit the input SGST for local purchase, input CGST for local purchase, and if you are purchasing from interstate, you can debit the input IGST account, and your sundry creditor for goods will be on the credit side. So next one is chart of accounts for expenses. This is very important. You must be knowing that we can create different chart of accounts in Tally and other softwares. So we are going to show you how you can create the chart of accounts so that the reporting requirements are met. Many reporting requirements in the rules and acts states that you need to identify or differentiate between the expenses with GST and non-GST. So we have tried to compile that as well. So let's see how we can set up our chart of accounts. So instead of putting directly everything under the indirect expense group, we can create one group for every expenses. Like I can create repairs and maintenance group under indirect expenses. Remember, I am saying group, not the account. Once I have created the repair and maintenance group, so I can bifurcate then two different accounts. So one will be repair and maintenance GST and another will be repair and maintenance non-GST. Remember that your group will be shown as repair and maintenance, but in that you will be having two different accounts, repair and maintenance GST and repair and maintenance non-GST. So how it will help you? So when you are having or reviewing your expenses, you can just go there and check what are the total repairs and maintenance expenses. But when you drill down further, you can check that the repair and maintenance GST and what are the expenses without GST. So it will be easy if you need to report this in future. So how we can do the different entries? So it's pretty simple. Expenses with GST, debit to input GST is local. If you are getting those services or goods locally, if you are using interstate, then you can use the input IGST interstate, and two sundry creditors for expenses. And next will be expenses without GST. This is again pretty simple. Just expense non-GST will be debit and two sundry creditors for expenses. Next one is sale of goods or services. So here we can debit sundry debtors to sale of goods or services. Next is output CGST and output SGST for local sales, and output IGST for interstate sales. So for any assets purchased, you can just debit fixed assets. You can debit if you are taking credit on the fixed assets, then you can take the input SGST and input CGST on local purchases, input IGST on interstate purchases again, and two creditors for fixed assets. Remember, I am identifying all the creditors differently. My creditors for expenses are different, my creditors for fixed assets are different, and my creditors for goods are different. Next one will be IGST on imports. If you are so in that case, the entries will be like this: customs duty on imports will be debit, IGST on imports debit, other charges, input IGST, CGST you have paid on the CHA charges, so that will be in here in this line to creditors or CHA account. So you can pass this entry when you are importing any goods and you need to avail credit on IGST imports. We know that sometimes we feel to create accounts for so many items, but instead of creating accounts for different items, you can create voucher types. So if you are using Tally, you must be familiar with voucher types. We have some journals in our Tally. In journal, instead of passing all the entries in one journal voucher type, you can just create few voucher types. Like you can create fixed assets purchase voucher type. So every fixed assets purchased, you can just enter that into that voucher. You can create expenses voucher type, so it will be any expenses will be covered in that expenses. You can create labor voucher type. I am emphasizing on the different voucher types so that you don't have to bifurcate your CGST, SGST or IGST account on FA IGST or expenses IGST or anything. So like this you can create different voucher types. So under sales you can create sale of goods, sale of services, goods and services, where you are providing both the goods and services together. You can also differentiate purchase into purchase goods and import purchase. We know that you are already doing this entries, so by the time we are here, you know that these are the entries or ledgers you have created. So what's the problem now? So the problem is GST portal ledgers. Our ledgers on the GST portals are different and our ledgers in the Tally are different. In the portal we have credit ledger, we have liability ledger, and we have cash ledger. Now let's identify the solution. The solution is that create portal ledgers in our books. Our books will be automatically reconciled once we see the ledger balances. So how we can do that? So you can create the credit ledger from the portal like this: SGST credit portal, CGST credit portal, and IGST credit portal into your books of accounts. Yes, I am saying into our books of accounts. Okay, so next you can create liability ledgers: SGST payable, CGST payable, and IGST payable. Next will be cash ledgers. So SGST cash portal, CGST cash portal, and IGST cash portal. So you know the basic entries. Now we are doing something different. We are creating all these 9 ledgers in our Tally or in our books of accounts right now. So like this you can create the ledgers. Now I have the Tally ledgers, input CGST, SGST, and input IGST or import IGST. So I need to adjust this accounts into SGST credit portal, CGST credit portal, or IGST credit portal. My output SGST, output CGST, or output IGST will be adjusted onto SGST payable, CGST payable, or IGST payable. So whenever I am making challan payment, so you must be knowing that we are paying under different heads. There are late fees, there are penalties, there are interest, there are SGST is different, IGST is different, CGST is different. You can create those cash balance into your books as well. So we can create SGST cash portal, CGST cash portal, and IGST cash portal into our books of accounts. So now you have so many ledgers. So your every ledger will be in your books of accounts now. So how you can adjust all these entries into your books of accounts so that your burden for reconciliations will be very less. So let's get started. Here we need to remember that all these portal ledgers on GSTN portal are updated after GSTR3B is filed. Majority of the figures in the credit or payable ledgers or cash ledgers are updated as and when we file the GSTR3B. There are other forms as well, but majority data is updated once we file our GSTR3B. Okay, so remember that every time you file GSTR3B or you finalized your monthly data, you can pass the next entries that I am going to show you. So let's get to the next slide. So here is our snippet of our GSTR3B. You can see here we have some integrated tax, central tax and state tax. So any amount mentioned in this taxation column will be entered into our next entries. So what will be our next entries? First we need to confirm the liability shown in our books to the portal. So how we will be doing that? So we'll debit our output SGST, output CGST and output IGST. So remember that these three ledgers were already there in our old books of accounts. These are the tally ledgers. So whatever sales you have done and you must have credited those IGST, those SGST, CGST or IGST liability into this account so far. For every transaction you must be having line item into this account. Now we are confirming this liability to the SGST payable, to CGST payable and to IGST payable. When I am passing this entry, I am doing that these are my liabilities and I need to pay these liabilities, and I have shown this liability in GSTR3B. Okay, so once your liability is confirmed that you have to pay this, then you can pass this entry. So better you pass this entry on the month end. Once GSTR3B is finalized, you can take figures from the GSTR3B and pass this entry. Remember that no change should be allowed here. So now we have created our liability and the same is shown on the portal. So next will be any figure mentioned in this eligible ITC means you have availed that ITC. Now government knows that your ITC is this much. How we can pass entry to avail the ITC? Let's avail the credit now. So first will be you need to debit the SGST credit portal account. See here we are debiting the portal account. It means I am taking the CGST credit, SGST credit and IGST credit onto the portal account. So what will be credited? My input SGST. When I have entered my purchase, my expenses, my fixed assets or anything, I must have debited those ledgers. Now we are crediting those ledgers. So we are assuming that all those entries what I need to take credit is availed and it is shown via GSTR3B into the portal. So once you are filing that your GSTR3B, you are availing that credit. The same way we have availed that credit into our system as well. So now you have availed this credit. And the last one will be IGST on imports. If you have made any import purchase, then you must credit that as well. So you can pass this entry on every month end. Again, these figures will be from GSTR3B and again no changes should be allowed in this. Let's move to the next for the payment of tax. So we are offsetting our liability via GSTR3B on the portal. Adjust this ITC. The ITC mentioned here in this red box will be adjusted against your total tax payable. So GST adjustment, if your balance is credit, I am assuming that you don't have to pay any cash. There is enough credit available in your portal or on your ledgers so that you can adjust your output liabilities against the ITC or credit available. So how you can pass the entries again? SGST payable debit, CGST payable debit, IGST payable debit, to SGST credit, to CGST credit, to IGST credit. So you can see that over here that these three were created while we have adjusted our output CGST, SGST and IGST. These three were created when we have adjusted our purchase input liabilities. You can pass this entry when your actual GSTR3B is filed. Okay. When you have the GST adjustment, but you need to pay the GST. So I can say that my credit is on a lesser side and I need to pay the amount. I need to pay the GST. So how I can adjust this entry? So this will be same as GST, CGST, IGST payable. to SGST Credit portal to CGST Credit portal to IGST Credit. All this will be same. But whatever I need to pay to the government after adjusting or offsetting my liabilities, I need to transfer those entries to these accounts, that is to cash portal, to CGST cash portal, to IGST cash portal. Again, you can pass this entry on on filing date of GSTR3B, take figures from GSTR3B, and no change should be allowed. Now when you are making any challan payment, so while you are making any challan payment to on the GST portal, remember to pass this entry. So it will be SGST cash on portal to CGST cash portal, IGST cash portal, late fees if any you have paid, GST interest to bank. As I have mentioned that while making payment, you need to pay it under different heads. So your every different head will be here. So your cash balance that you can adjust will only be updated by these three ledgers. If you are making any payment for this late fees, it will not be adjusted directly. This also it will not be adjusted directly. You can enter this on the payment date. Fifth will be some special entries. If you need to pay any balance under reverse charge, then you can just pass this entry: SGST credit portal, CGST credit, IGST credit on portal debit, as we will be taking this credit to SGST cash portal, to CGST cash portal, to IGST cash portal. Here we have availed this credit directly onto our portal, and any payment made, because we need to pay reverse charge, there is, you cannot avail credit against the reverse charge, so we are directly adjusting those against our cash balance. So you can pass this entry on the last day of your month. In this video we have mentioned about different voucher types. So to adjust this entry or create this entry, you can just create voucher type as GST RCM under journal. So at any case, in any case, if you want to just pull out the data and check what are the reverse charges I have paid or what are the liabilities was created, you can pass this entry. Whenever you are filing a TDS or TCS return, you can just pass this entry: SGST cash, CGST cash, IGST cash portal debit to party. So we are having this cash balance directly into our portal balance. We don't have this balance into our hand or into our books of accounts. So when you are passing this entry, you are adjusting the party and creating that cash balance for adjustment, or when you file the next return. You can enter this entry when you file your TDS or TCS return for GST. Again, for this voucher, you can create the voucher type as GST TDS, and you can get the data whenever you want. Remember that whenever your portal balances are updated, don't forget to update it into your books of accounts. If you are by filing any DRC03 or any PMT07 or adjusting it, so don't forget to pass entries into your books of accounts as well. So how it will be helpful to me? In the ideal situation, remember that if you have availed your credit perfectly, then there will be no balance in your input SGST, CGST, IGST or IGST on imports account. But this is not an ideal situation. There are bound to have some errors, there are bound to have some problems. So every time there will be some balance in your input account. If it is showing debit balance, then it means that there are some credit on at the month end or on the year end that you have still not claimed. If you are having any credit balance, then remember you have availed some extra credit that needs to be reversed. So now you don't need to reconcile the different balances, what's in the portal and what's in the books of accounts. You can just straight away check what's in the debit balance. If you are having some debit balance, just drill down in which month you are having the problem. It means you have not claimed your credit. If you are having credit balance, then you can again drill down and check where you have need to reverse those credit. Remember to pass separate entry at the year end when you are adjusting this balances on portal. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, we will be passing every month our entry when we are doing some GSTR3B returns. So don't pass this entry or your balance entry with those entries or combine that. pass one separate entry, so you will be knowing that okay, this was my debit balance which I have not claimed, now I am claiming that. So whenever you are claiming those entries, remember to pass a one separate entry, don't combine it with the our regular monthly entries. Next one is balance in output SGST CG or as IGST account. As mentioned earlier, you may also be having some balances in this account as well. So if you are having debit balance, you have paid or adjusted some extra tax into your 3B. Just check that. If you are having some credit balance, it means you have paid tax less. You need to pay it and adjust it as early as possible. Again, remember to pass this entry separately. Don't pass it with your monthly entries. What's the trick here? So SGST, CGST, IGST credit portal will always match with your online GSTN portal credit balance. SGST, CGST, IGST cash will always match with your portal balance. And last, SGST payable, CGST payable, IGST payable will be always nil. You will not be having any balances in these ledgers. Okay, so this is the video, guys. If you have any questions, don't forget to comment us. So thank you, guys. Thanks for watching.